So today's adventure, we parked at the Dog Lake Trail, the Cramer Lake Trailhead at Dog Lake. The goal is to shoot up to Cramer and Dumbbell Lakes today. We want to shoot past Dumbbell Lake, connect up on the Pacific Crest Trail, and then we have two options. We're either going to head north and pick up Pipe and Jess Lakes and call it an in and out, or if time is looking good, we may shoot past Dumbbell onto the Pacific Crest Trail, then head south on the Pacific Crest Trail, pick up the Dark Meadows Trail after you get past Sand and Deer Lakes headed south, and then the Dark Meadows Trail will bring you all the way back to Dog Lake, so it'd be a large loop hike. That would be my preference today. It's a little bit of a late start, so I think it's about 11:30, and it gets dark really early this time of year. So the loop hike, I think it's doable, but I probably have to average about 3 miles an hour to make it comfortable. I do have headlamps with me, so hiking in the dark is always a possibility, although not preferred. So we'll see how it goes today. Anyways, it's a late October snow, and we're out on the trail. And now it's time to put the camera in my pocket. And made it across without falling in, so life's good. Now it's time to shed a layer and head up the hill. And there's the view out towards Dog Lake. We're probably about a third of the way up. The first of what may be two major climbs on this hike. There'll only be two major climbs if I decide to do the loop hike. If I don't do the loop hike, then this was it. So 3.5 miles. We're up in Tumac Basin. We're at Cramer Lake. Essentially, you just have to walk a little side trail down to the campground. And the online hiking reviews, sometimes I see people complain that Cramer Lake is nothing but an open meadow, and I think they mistake this meadow right here for the lake, but you actually have to hike in a little ways to get to the lake. That meadow's like one of my favorite spots up here. It kind of epitomizes Tumac Basin, where you have a lot of open meadows pockmarked with tons of small lakes and ponds. It's just a beautiful, beautiful part of the Cascades. Like I said, 3.5 miles puts you at Cramer Lake, a beautiful camp spot, and it doesn't look like there's any ice forming up yet. A little bit surprised. I thought it would start. I thought we would see some ice on the edges. I don't see any ice forming yet. Cramer Lake, just a beautiful spot. Getting a bit windy up in the basin. That fleece layer might be going back on here in a minute. .8 mile mark. Hit the trail junction with Dumbbell Lake Trail. So we're gonna head left at the junction towards Dumbbell Lake. If we stay on the Cramer Lake Trail going that way, we'll wind up hooking up with another trail intersection that takes you over to, what is that? Shell Rock Lake. So again, hit the trail junction just a little past Cramer, head left on Dumbbell Lake Trail, and try to keep those feet dry. So about 4.9 miles in, we're arriving at the far west end of Dumbbell Lake. And it's bigger than it looks from here because it continues out around the corner there. And then Cramer Mountains up there, shrouded in clouds. So the trick now is to head out towards the Pacific Crest Trail. So we're just gonna stay on the Dumbbell Lake Trail. Long John Trail junction's right here. You don't want to take that. So you just continue on Dumbbell Lake Trail out towards the Pacific Crest Trail. I think it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon right now. So probably 3.5 to 4 hours of good hiking daylight left. So here we are at the 5.2 mile mark, so only 0.3 of a mile from Dumbbell Lake. You hit the intersection with the Pacific Crest Trail. I can see somebody's actually been through here today. It's the first sign of a person I've seen since I started hiking. So our options from here, we either turn right and head north towards Chinook Pass, and that would let us pick up Pipe Lake and Jess Lake. The other option is to turn left or head south towards White Pass, which is heading towards Buesch Lake, Sand Lake, Deer Lake, and that Dark Meadows trail connector that would turn this into a loop hike. So it's just a little after 1, and based on my current pace, I think we're about 6.5 miles from White Pass from here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the loop pass. I feel really confident about the pace I'm holding. The snow conditions are much better than what I had anticipated. I was expecting 8 inches at least. There's been 1 inch. If we get up on the ridge, there might be a bit more. If there's too much on the ridge, I think I'd head back. But I can see somebody's already hiked through here today, which means that ridge can't be that bad. All right, 5.7 miles in, has us at Buesch Lake. So the water's high right now, so I've got to get across that. So I'm hoping to find right there, logs across. That'll work, as long as they don't slip off. So now we've got, from here, we've got a big climb up to the top of the ridge, and we have to do a long ridge run between here, Buesch Lake, and Sand Lake. Once we get the climb done, it's more of a downhill run most of the remainder of the way. All right, so we're at 6.9 miles, and we've just finished the climb up out of Tumac Basin from Buesch Lake to the ridge that's going to run us over to Sand Lake. And I always kind of think of the end of the climb out of the basin as occurring at the intersection with the Courtright Trail, which heads off that way. We're not going to go that way. We're just going to stay south on the Pacific Crest Trail until we drop down into Sand Lake. That's about 150 right now. So we have plenty of daylight to make this hike happen. So things are playing out very nicely at this point. So we're at the 8.9 mile mark right now into this loop hike, and we're just arriving off the ridge down into Sand Lake. Here it is. Well, part of it anyways. Water's high this time of year. The fall moisture has filled the lake back in. And sometimes when the water's really high, you can't hike across here. You actually have to go out around the outer edge, but it's not filled in so much yet that we can't sneak across on the trail. Gonna go out onto the point and grab a quick snack and then finish this hike off. And as you can see, the ice has already claimed Sand Lake for the winter. I gotta zoom out a little bit. There we go. Completely iced over. And it's October 24th. The snow will probably be gone in a week, but the ice probably won't. The ice is probably here to stay. So at 9.6 miles, we hit the little junction. The Pacific Crest Trail is running this way, and then there's a little junction trail that goes off into the right. And you walk a couple minutes and you're at Deer Lake. So here's Deer Lake. A bit of a fog fest today. No ice on it yet. So Sand Lake's already completely iced over. It's just a couple hundred extra feet of elevation. So here we are. This is about the 10.7 mile mark. And the Pacific Crest Trail continues south towards White Pass. And the Dark Meadows Trail cuts back to the left here. You can see both trails are signed. So Dark Meadow Trail will take us back and connect onto Cramer Lake Trail where we started. In fact, it connects back up with the Cramer Lake Trail right adjacent to Trailhead. You're just minutes from the trailhead when you make that connection. So off we go. Try to finish this loop up. So we're right at the 12.5 mile mark, and we've just reconnected with the Cramer Lake Trail right there, which essentially has us right back at the trailhead where we started. So I'm going to call this hike in the bag. Nice loop hike, for lack of a better idea. I'm going to call it the 5 Lake Loop Hike. I could see on the map that it could be done, but I couldn't find anything on the internet where somebody had posted about having done it. So let's see if I can suggest it as a hike for all trails. So just kind of to recap, we took the Cramer Lake Trail to the junction with Dumbbell Lake Trail, took the Dumbbell Lake Trail over to the Pacific Crest Trail, then headed left or south on Pacific Crest Trail until we hooked onto the Dark Meadow Trail. And the Dark Meadow Trail takes you right back to Cramer Lake Trail, right by the trailhead. We're like not even 2 minutes from the car right here. So you pick up 5 lakes. You pick up Cramer Lake, Dumbbell Lake, Buesch Lake, Sand Lake, and Deer Lake. That's a nice hike. Depending on snow conditions, it might be hikeable for another month. Depends a little bit on what Mother Nature does. But that was worth it. Get outside.